This video was produced as part of the Shift2Rail FreightRail 3 project. Deliverable 2.3, Demonstration of Enhanced and Integrated Line and Yard Planning and Possibilities for Implementation. The video introduces the demonstrator called Yard Coordination System, or YCS for short. Yards are a vital part of the freight railway system. Yards are the hubs where cars from inbound trains are sorted into new outbound trains and are therefore important for allowing many origin-destination pairs to be served. Yards are also often the interface between the railway system and other modes of transportation, as multimodal terminals are often built in connection to yards. In the FreightRail 3 project, Malmö Marshalling Yard was chosen as the use case. In the Malmö Marshalling Yard, there are tracks for classification, that is sorting of cars, and there is a multimodal terminal. Further, Malmö Marshalling Yard is very close to the border between Sweden and Denmark and services many international trains. As there are many different activities carried out in Malmö, there are also many different groups of tracks. 3 groups are particularly important for the yard coordination system. First of all, we have the classification bowl, where the marshalling service provider staff sorts cars and compound new trains. We also have the multimodal terminal, where the terminal service provider staff lift cars to and from trucks. And last but not least, we have the arrival and departure yard tracks, where all trains arrive and many trains depart. The tracks at the arrival and departure yard are allocated to different activities and trains by the line manager. Note that both the terminal service provider and the marshalling service provider will require access to the arrival departure yard track. Currently, the allocation of track in the arrival departure yard is more or less a queuing system. Locomotive drivers wanting to move to or from a track call the line manager and ask for permission to make the movement. If the tracks are free, the driver is allowed to make the movement, and otherwise they must wait for their turn. As the line manager does not know when the different activities will happen, they can't take them into account when deciding which movements to permit. Therefore, an important train may be delayed while waiting for a shunting movement to finish, even if the shunting movement could have been easily postponed without causing any problems. While none of the actors have the overall view of the activities, each actor knows when their own activities are planned. And if the actors had communicated their plans, they could have identified and resolved conflicts before they happen. It is this type of collaborative and proactive way of working that the yard coordination system has been developed for. The yard coordination system allows the terminal manager and the yard manager to communicate their track needs, and the line manager can make reservations for activities on the tracks. The YCS and help actors detect conflicts and provides the information needed to solve these conflicts. An actor can solve a conflict alone by changing their own planning or reservations, or the actors could discuss different solutions and decide how to solve the conflict together. In this way, allocation decisions could be made collaboratively and based on what is really best for the railway system. The YCS demonstrator was developed by RISE and Indra. RISE was responsible for the requirement specification, while Indra developed the software. The researchers at RISE collaborated with the infrastructure manager, the marshalling service provider, and the terminal service provider at Malmö Marshalling Yard during the entire project. Next, we will demonstrate the YCS. Let's pretend you're a line manager arriving at work. You log into the YCS and go to your preferred view. You can see that your co-worker has already planned the trains for earlier this morning, and they have also added a miscellaneous track reservation which says broken loco. You understand that there is a broken locomotive parked on this track. Your co-worker has also left a message that they have already spoken to the person in charge and that the locomotive will be moved by the end of the day. Next, you move on to doing the default planning for the next few hours. When you've done with your planning, you can go into other work tasks. At the same time, the yard manager has also arrived at work. When they look at the trains, they see that they are supposed to roll in 3 trains to the classification bowl at approximately the same time. As there is only one team working in the yard that day, this is not going to be possible, and they have to change the track needs. The changed track needs will result in a conflict, as the reserved track time no longer matches the needed time. The conflicts are also visible in the line manager's view. If the track need does not interfere with any other activities, the track reservation interval can simply be extended to cover the track need. The yard manager also needs to plan for a shunting. To do this, the shunting symbol is simply pulled to the track and the time, and then additional data is added. In this case, there are some cars that are supposed to be shunted from the classification bowl to the multimodal terminal. The track need is shown as a box. As the cars are supposed to be shunted to the terminal, the shunting also shows up in the terminal view. As can be seen, many trains are in the background or quite transparent. This is because only trains that are relevant for the actor are shown in full color, and there are not that many trains that go to the terminal. The terminal manager adds the relevant data. Last but not least, the shunting is also shown in the line manager view. The line manager can add a track reservation interval, and then the planning for this shunting is finished. The YCS was tested in a demonstration workshop with real actors. The feedback was very positive, and for example, they said, people in production will get a better understanding of why waiting 10 minutes is necessary. Often that kind of information is lost. Pointing out that not only planners would be interested in this type of tool, but also the people working down at the tracks. Another comment from a user was, you can act proactively instead of reactively. It's hard to act when you don't have the information. This is exactly why the YCS was developed, to enable the actors on the yard to avoid conflicts and delays by moving towards a more proactive way of working.